This is a production of KMmedia.pro. Welcome back to Positive Talk Radio. Our goal is simple: to explore evolving ideas one conversation at a time. So come on over into our world. I know you'll like it, because on today's show... And welcome everybody to today's show. Today I'm going to be joined by Mitch, my co-host, and we're going to talk about something that, see, a lot of times I like to have guests on that I need to learn stuff about because I know nothing about the topic that we're going to be talking about. And I'm hopeful that Mitch has a better idea, but let's talk to Eric first and see if he has an idea. Hey, Eric, how you doing?
Hey, good afternoon and happy Wednesday, Kevin.
Happy Wednesday to
this
you.
Beautiful day.
I know. It's just gorgeous outside. And you know what? This is a national holiday. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
It's the first day of Seahawks training camp.
Okay. I didn't know that was being celebrated nationally now. Congratulations to the Seahawks.
Exactly.
A pretty big deal to have a holiday in your name.
In my world, they are worldwide, but perhaps there are 30 other cities that would think otherwise. But that's beside the point.
Maybe more.
Maybe more. Anyway, Eric, are you? Did you grow up with architecture and home design and that kind of stuff too, so that you could plan your home being environmentally friendly and with all the things, or are you like me where it's like, oh, buy it and stick it over there?
Well, I think we all grew up with architecture and home design, whether we like it or not. You know, there was good architecture and bad architecture and good home design and bad home design. So, yeah, we all grew up with that, you know, whether we paid attention to it or not is a whole nother thing. But the environmentally friendly thing is more of a new thing, as you say. And so I don't think that we had a focus on that growing up, but I'm interested to learn about it.
Me too. And we're going to talk to, her name is, well, I'll get into that in just a second. But first of all, I got to introduce Mitch. Mitch, how are you?
I'm doing great. You guys, how are you?
We're good. So you are the one that is the architecturally friendly one of the group that knows how to stage things properly and that kind of thing, right?
I don't know that that's my profession or
Oh, well.
that I would do it very rarely. I think my architecture goes as far as building Legos as a kid. So I'm really excited to talk to our guest today.
And her name, by the way, is Juliette Schatan. And she is, well, first of all, she is a smart person. She's got a bachelor's and a master's. And she speaks fluent Dutch, Portuguese, English. I can't even speak English, and Spanish, and can maintain a conversation in French and Italian. So she's been around the world. Wow. She's worked all over the place, and she's a good friend of ours. David Newkirk recommended her come on the show because we want to talk about architecture and home design, and also doing it in an environmentally friendly way. So let's bring Julie on right now. And Julie, tell me, have I stated that semi sort of correctly?
Yeah, you did. You did a good job. And I'm very happy to be here, Kevin. Thank you so much. Hi, Mitch. It's really an honor. I love your show. So this is going to be a lot of fun and very necessary, apparently, to talk about what I do daily. Because it's not only about making things beautiful, but nowadays it's also about making your environment more healthy. And by the way, Mitch, I started with Legos too. That's how it all started.
So I was on the right track. I just didn't execute further past.
Yeah, I had a dad that really enjoyed actually building furniture. It was not his day job, but it was his hobby. So I grew up with, always having something going on in the house. And I think that sort of stirred my curiosity.
Well, one of the things that you do and are really fluent in that I want to touch on a little bit also is staging. Do
Yes.
you do you remember a gal by the name of Barb Schwartz?
Not off the top of my head.
She was on my show in 2003, and she was the one who actually developed staging as kind of an art form. And what staging is for those of you, well, why don't you explain to us what staging is since you're the expert?
Yes, well, staging is wonderful. Staging is really an American invention. If you go to other places like South America, Mexico, Europe, people don't really stage homes to sell them. But it has a great function because a lot of people have no idea what they're going to do with the home. They walk into an empty home and it's hollow. It kind of, it's not really pleasant. And then they have to figure out, okay, I'm going to buy this home. So staging you usually do for sale. You're selling your home. And then you need to showcase the qualities of the home. So that's basically what you do. Commercially, you don't do a lot of staging. It's mostly residential, and it's really a great thing because really helps people to visualize what you can do with a space. So yeah.
Well, it's interesting because my mother passed away 2 years ago now. And after she passed away, we had to, of course, to sell her house. And so and most real estate agents today are very familiar with staging, and they do a really good job of putting that together. But I tell you, this is on Whidbey Island. This real estate agent, she used a drone to circle the property and to fly in and out and my sister, who was the one who was actually in charge of the sale, said, I'd buy that house if it was if we weren't selling it,
Yeah.
because they staged it and it made it look in a completely different way. Because my mom and my dad never really worked at generating a home environment that was really suitable for and
Yeah.
was really top notch. And that's really what you do.
Yes. Yes. And it's amazing because most of the time when we work with a realtor and the owner comes by, they're all like what you see on TV. They go, oh, is this my home? Sometimes you have to have a discussion in the beginning because people sometimes don't understand. There is really a distinct difference between staging for sales purposes and having someone do an interior where you're going to live in it. It's your home and you want to see it in a certain way. But when you're staging, we're actually staging for the market. You're not staging for yourself anymore. So that means that you have to say goodbye to all these things that you liked, all the pictures of the family and that vase from Aunt Maria or whatever. All these things have to disappear and it has to become something that can relate to the market. And sometimes people go, oh, but no, that is not my home. Correct. It's no longer is your home in that sense because you're trying to sell it. So it's an intermediate step to make that happen. And the fun for me is to create something that will convey the idea of a home. I don't stage for the purpose of just having something sterile looking at me. With all respect for all the stagers out there, but the kind of thing that you see in a catalog, but it's more like to have people feel that they want to just sit on the couch and turn on the TV or something like that, so that's what I like to do.
See, that's what I have. I have a recliner and a TV, and so I got nothing on the walls. I've got no earthly idea of any of that. Mitch, how about you?
I have a little bit more than that, but it's yeah, it's close, but I feel like I have a little more in there. I'd like to think I know like a little bit in regards to creating. I've created an atmosphere and a living space that I think that is, fits me. So
yeah,
Kevin, very simple, very simple.
Oh, you
TV,
have no
TV
idea.
recliner, and we're done.
TV recliner. Oh, and a TV tray for my beverage and that kind of thing.
of course. How could you
And,
forget that?
and that's about it. I never give it a second thought. And, you know, it's almost like I say, well, you know, I'm going to be moving out of here in like 15 years. So why make it nice now when I'm just going to have to take everything down and move it? But
Well, well, can I bring you on another idea? You know, after your clothes, your house is actually your second skin. So you want to make it comfortable. If you are happy with the recliner and the TV uh, table next to it, then it's fine. You know, it's your home. But your home should align with your what you need. You know, that's really very important because it sustains you. You know, it's all energy. It's not only matter around you, it's all your energy and the energy of this place you live in. So you want to have that nicely done for you.
I want to get into that and about the energy and feng shui and all of that. But uh, does that mean that if I'm going to do something nice for my house, it's like buying new clothes? Like I really need to buy in this decade a new pair of underwear.
Well, I'll leave the underwear to you. Not gonna get into that.
Admit,
But
I got to Juliette. I got to say, Mitch is sitting over there going, "Oh crap! What did I do this for? Why am I here?"
I just don't know that underwear falls into the same category, but I'm like I like how you inserted that in there.
yeah, well, if you look in terms of categories, yes, we can go into the home and think in terms of categories. You have things that are base. You know, I would say a bed, for instance, is something that most people will need. You might need a couple of tables. You know, there are certain things that are really the base of your environment. If you work in your environment, you want to have a desk. You know, you just have to think in terms of how do I use this space, not only homes, but also your workspace. How do I use it and how can I make it really work for me? I'm not someone that is into fashion. I love really beautiful things, but for me, beauty has a spiritual value. Uh, so that means that I look for things that are durable. That's why sustainability is also a natural for me. I think I've always been trying to be sustainable one way or another because I believe in that kind of thing. You know, you're taking care of yourself, your health, and the health of your environment. And that is something that is important. So I don't say you have to buy things continuously for your home, but it's important to have things in your home that really align with you, that have meaning to you, that really nurture you in that sense. You know, some people have things that are family heirlooms, for instance, or things that they bought somewhere and are deeply in love with, and you know, just cultivate these things and just, you know, make your environment your own. And sometimes it's good to talk to someone like me because I can kind of help you sort what is really essential for you. It's not about the neighbor, it's really about always about you or your family or the people that are using the environment.
So if like I have an office, I've got a studio here, and Mitch is building a studio. And I don't think it's at your house, but what would you suggest that we do to create great energy around the studio that we are building or maintaining so that we can convey that to people that are listening to us as we do our podcast?
Well, a good thing to do is just to. It's very interesting how space itself has its own spirit. You have a spirit of the place. So I usually have more than one client. It's the client I'm working with and the space that the person wants to see transformed. And I have to deal with both things. The space itself tells me a story, and you will tell me your story. And in the end, it has to come together, work together. It has always a certain logic. So to talk in the air, I will only be able to just talk about general kinds of things that I would look for. But of course, you have to become much more specific than that. Um, I look at light. Of course, you're going to say, yeah, it's a studio. So you have requirements and sound and things like that. So you want to have it closed. But you have different spaces in your studio, I suppose, split different activities that you do. I suppose you also receive people there. So all of these things are things that you then have to figure out how you do that and how much space you need for that. I love plants and environment. I love art. I always work with art, with plants, with things that I find beautiful, because, and once again, it nurtures me, and most of my clients will agree with me. And then if you go into the functional part of it, it's really a question of, I believe in measurements. So I'm one of those designers that start by measuring things and seeing how things fit where. And then I start making spaces, composing the space together for you for all the functions you need. Do you need only, let's say, a desk in your studio space, or would you like to have a sofa somewhere that you can comfortably think about what am I going to say in the next interview? Or how many activities do you have in your studio? You have to kind of educate me there.
Mitch, go ahead and with what you're putting together.
No, I think that's totally right. I think that I want a space that is something that I want, but I also, in regards to if I'm going to have people that are going to enter it, I want it to be inviting. I want it to be comfortable for everybody. So I want it to be an open space that when people come into it, they're very comfortable, they're very open, whatnot. And what that looks like, can be different for so many people. So it's probably difficult to really articulate it down to the point. But I think there's things, I'm sure Juliette can agree, that you can create a space that's in general attracts a certain audience, or is very comfortable for the people around it. And I think that's something I'm looking forward to as well.
Yeah, that's great. And I would look for natural materials, for instance. If you spend long hours in the space and it's closed, because the studio environment needs to be a little more sealed, so to speak, because of sound requirements, I would say natural rugs, or materials that are really and sustainable and more natural, because it will also support your health. A lot of people don't realize that every building material, finishing, furniture piece that you have around you exudes something, of the material itself. Gas is off. And you have to ask yourself, what are your priorities and how do you want to layer your space? I'm not saying that everybody has to rush out and transform drastically their you can do that, but you can do it in phases, and you can also prioritize what is important. So yeah.
So I got to ask you, because this is important. You're familiar with the term feng shui, right?
Yeah.
What actually, Mitch? How about you? You giggled. Do you have any idea what feng shui is?
No, I do. I do. Or at least I'd like to think I do. My mind went somewhere different when you said feng shui, but
okay, where to go? You can say it. We're just among friends.
No, I went on a very ninja feng shui. I thought about martial arts a little bit, which has nothing to do with feng shui. But I'm familiar. I'm familiar with the word and the feng shui, and I know that it's kind of. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure there's maybe a different interpretations of it, but feng shui, you go and you sit somewhere. It's kind of what brings out, right? It's kind of a little bit the feng shui around you. It kind of, I want to say, it inspires certain things based on what is around, and everything that is all kind of connected. And that connection between everything in the room and the atmosphere you're in is some sort of feng shui or whatnot. And I could be completely wrong. And Juliette, correct me.
Well, first off, I'm not a specialist. I know people that are really specialists and masters in feng shui. So if I need a house to be energized in that way, I will always work with a professional. But in my travels, I discovered that up till today, for instance, in China, because these are ancient systems, energy systems, in China, they still teach feng shui in the architectural schools. So which is great. So you can do it on different levels, on urban design levels. So you can consider the whole city actually as a body that you feng shui for positive energy and flow. Air is taken into consideration, airflow, and all sorts of the positioning of objects in the space, the materials you use, stones, how you enter a space. So it's quite a complex of things. It's really a richdom of culture. I believe that there are a number of ancient cultures that use a similar system, but Feng Shui is the one that we know most and is the one that is really used here in the United States too. So you can, there's one part where you can do an equivalent to, let's say, a horoscope. So a chart, a personal chart, and there's a part of Feng Shui where you really look into space, so homes and how they're situated in on the lot, for instance, and how they work internally. So it's quite interesting, and there are a couple of general things that if you are really involved with space, you will almost naturally want to have these things like airflow, light, the positioning of doors in relationship to what you're creating internally. But it's very sophisticated. It's a very interesting thing, Feng Shui.
I gotta ask you this: how does having your house set up in a real dynamic way, using the feng shui principles as well as others that you work with, how does that create better energy within the house?
Well, what it does, it opens up the energy of the house. It is almost, it's very interesting, your question, because it is almost that also in the architecture, the way I studied it, because that's my background and my base, there is also a parallel logic in terms of how you want to situate things. We were just talking about staging. Every time I staged the living room, I had the immediate idea of opening up the space. So when you walk into the door, you open the space in a way that you see the sofa in front of you and not the back of the sofa, for instance. So there are also very simple things like that, because when you have the back of the sofa to the door, it is not really very inviting. You close the space actually before somebody has the opportunity to enter a space. So sometimes it's very simple things. Sometimes a staircase, that's a classic in Feng Shui, the staircase in front of the front door. You just open the front door and you have a staircase. In Feng Shui, that is something that is not really desirable because the air flows through the house and exits on the other side. And you want to have fortune coming in and not really rushing out, because everybody wants fortune and abundance. So you have to do other things. You use certain elements to deflect the energy to entering the home and just leaving in the most rapid way. So how it works is really, and this you have to just bear with me, every place has energy, but not everyone believes that. I really think that is correct. So you want to optimize your space in terms of energy. So, and positioning your space and the object in your space in certain ways will open up your space and energy into the space. And if you block your space, for instance, if you have a house that is chock full of things, you generally are just closing up all your energy. And that makes sense, because I remember going in the house of a person that was a hoarder, and there was no way that I could even breathe walking in there. So it has logic. So the first thing I did to help that person was to create a path. And after doing that, She really, literally, I tell you, she stood in front of me and she started breathing, you know. So there are certain things that are really, you can feel it. You don't even have to believe in it. You just can feel it.
Well, see, and that's one of the things I wanted to get to is that does the energy of the person that lives there, is it changed by having a house that is properly designed and so that the energy flows? Does that also affect us and our energy?
Yes. Oh, certainly. Yes. You don't even have to go into feng shui for that. It's just imagine, have you ever walked into a house and you immediately felt happy?
I was, and then my wife came home.
And then you became more happy.
Well, like I say, we were married for 24 years in the best 6 months of my life. But anyway,
Yes. Yes, I get it. So, but you get what I'm saying.
so Mitch is back there going, I really don't know why I'm here.
Oh,
No,
I'm scared.
no.
That's great.
Yeah. I mean, places, sometimes you walk into a place and you go, this makes me feel good, or this makes me feel really, I'm just not feeling well in here, you know. So places,
It's
depending
like
on
Kevin.
how, yeah, depending on how, yeah.
I assume you said heaven, not Kevin.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Kevin.
Oh, I see. By the way, I want to get your information out so that anybody that wants to contact you can, Juliette. And first of all, can you give us your website, please?
Yes, it's very simple. It's curated by Juliette, double T and an E.com.
And you work with people all over the world, is that correct?
I now am working more in California, but I had clients in Brazil, in Europe. This morning, incidentally, I was talking to a friend in south of Amsterdam, and she needed help with her new penthouse. So yeah, I do faraway calls too.
And when we come back, Mitch is going to take us into break here in a second. But when we come back, I'd like to talk about environmentally friendly objects and ways that you can put into your house environmentally friendly things that are better for all of us. And they don't have the gases and all that kind of stuff. It's like my brother was a roofer for many years, and he died of stage 4 lung cancer because he tore off roofs that had asbestos in the roofs from 100 years ago. And so I would love for us to talk about that when we come back. Can we do that?
Yes. Sure.
And Mitch, take us to break, young man.
Taking us away. All right, all of our amazing listeners. We have Juliette Schatan here at curatedbyjuliette.com. Amazing designer. You're listening to Positive Talk Radio. Just tune in here and stay tuned for the next couple minutes while we cut to a break, and we'll be right back to talk to Juliette some more.
Hey, PTR loyal listener. First, thanks for being in my dream. And second, I have a new concept in business to share with you. It's called socialpreneurship. So, what's that? Well, it's the idea that any company designates all profits, beyond expenses, to be awarded to a local or international charity or project which is working to achieve good in the world. KM Media is such a company. We believe that it's important for us to give back whenever possible and to make great things happen. So I hope you'll join us in creating this new business model that will positively impact all of us. In the next few weeks, we will lay out the plan and begin our fundraising efforts. So stay tuned for more details right here on Positive Talk Radio.
When you want to say more than words communicate, you can with flowers. Your custom boutique floral studio in Bothell, Washington is anaturaldesign.com, connecting you to nature through the language of flowers. Where your people are is where our flowers are beautiful. Your success is our goal. anaturaldesign.com at your fingertips today.
Hey, thanks for listening to Positive Talk Radio. Did you know that we're also a media production company? Well, surprise, we are. We can create all kinds of audio, video products to fill any need. Please visit kmmedia.pro/our-store for a complete list of products and services. In addition, do you need a great voice to add to your own website or any other project? I know that we can add depth and quality to your work. I've been told more times than I can count by many professionals in the business that my voice adds to the quality of the presentation. So, let me create something for you. Please contact me at kevin@kmmedia.pro and let's create something great. And welcome back to Positive Talk Radio. My name is Kevin McDonald, and Mitch Parfit is over there. Hey, Mitch, how you doing?
Hey.
Hey, you learning something?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I love it.
Well, so far we've learned that I haven't bought underwear in 10 years, and that anyway. So,
I don't know if we learned that or not, but we did now. So
yeah,
there's that.
Juliette Schatan is with us. She is a home designer and works to positively impact the environment as well. And Julie, it's great to have you here. Are you having fun so far?
Thank you. Yes, this is super fun.
well, good. I'm really glad. So one of the things that you're doing is you're taking modern technology and modern ways of doing things and making it more environmentally friendly is what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Well, I think that what we have right now is a very exciting moment, Kevin, because I've been trying for years and years to think about how to restructure the interior design industry in terms of, the products you buy, how you go about really furnishing your home and things like that. And now we have come to a point where I can offer my clients really very good options in terms of furniture, some building materials. More and more things are coming. Manufacturers that are in the United States and not really abroad, which also helps with when you think in terms of sustainability. So there's a lot of good things happening out there. You have to consider that in the United States, 12 tons of furniture is added to landfills yearly. So the numbers are really staggering. If you start thinking about this kind of thing, you just want to consider other options, and it can already start by just buying durable things. So when you go out to buy something for your home, think in terms of pieces that you will enjoy for a longer period. And even if you have older pieces of furniture, they can be reupholstered, for instance. You can buy gently used furniture. At least in California, I have a number of suppliers that can come up with really great gently used furniture pieces. You have secondhand markets, vintage. I mean, you have so many options out there, So we are living in a period where more and more is possible. Even companies that produce 3D printed furniture made with, and that is really, that's where I'm super excited about, 3D printed furniture made with, let's say, corn husks and things like that, agricultural waste. And that is really when you're talking, now we're talking about environmentally sound ways of production. Because if you can print a piece of furniture here in California, the client lives around the corner, and you're using corn husks, which otherwise would have been thrown away, to create a great piece of furniture. I mean, then we are doing something that makes sense instead of purchasing something that is coming all the way from Southeast Asia. With all due respect, great manufacturers, but we have to change the way we're doing things drastically.
12? Did you say 12 million tons of furniture is going into our landfills?
Yeah. To 12 tons of furniture, which is, that's a lot of zeros there.
That's a lot. Well, not only that, it's a lot of furniture.
Yeah. So,
Um, yeah. So, Mitch, have you ever thought about using corn husks to build a couch?
No, you know what? I haven't, but I am a firm believer. Yeah, I mean, I think that if you do by chance you have something that for whatever reason just doesn't fit the atmosphere, the space you're trying to build or anymore, or maybe you're trying to change things up, that you look at passing that on to somebody else versus just throwing it away, or throwing it like Juliette said, in a landfill. Somebody else out there, it might fit what they're looking for, and it can be reused. We don't need to always just keep buying and throwing away. So I think that's amazing outlook on things, and I think there's a lot to learn from that.
yes.
Juliette, I consider the United States a throwaway culture, and that we buy something and then we don't like it, so we throw it away, and we don't seek other ways of using it. You've been around the world. Are there other countries that have a different viewpoint of that?
Yeah, there's different situations. For instance, when I lived in Brazil, you have different situations economically there. Here in the United States too, but they're perhaps a little more dramatic situations where you see that people have to become really creative. I mean, when you don't have a whole lot, and in the United States, we're blessed with having immensities of a lot still, but when you don't have that, you have to become more creative. And you have to kind of adapt what you have to what you need. So that's a different ball game. And in Europe, my parents are European, so they were more in the fashion of, we don't throw things away. You have to be more aware of things. You're certainly not going to buy clothes every month, So it was, it was a kind of different kind of education than I
They're
would
right
say.
up my alley. Those
Yeah,
people are.
Kevin got that memo in regards to his underwear.
Well, you perhaps knew my parents and I didn't know. Who knows?
You really rode those all the way to the end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there are different ways of looking at things. And even, I remember an architect in Brazil, an artist, that used to say that the Brazilian people, for instance, were very creative because they had to. They had to be creative, in that sense. And I think that here now I'm seeing that happen. For instance, there's a furniture company that is now offering to also take back the sofa you purchased with them, giving it a nice hand of maintenance, and putting new upholstery on it, and just rolling it out in their gently used program. And then you get to buy a new sofa if you want. So this kind of solution, we're going to see more and more of this in the future. And we are also going to see more and more people wanting to brand in that way. I really think like short-term rentals, for instance, that's the place where you want to brand your Airbnb or whatever you have in a way that people want to go there. And sustainability, having the right materials, is really going to make the differential. I'm really, there's one that just says this is an anecdote, but there's one hotel in the Middle East that is now announcing that they have a vegan room. So you can choose to stay there and to choose for a vegan. So everything in the room is made with materials that have not utilized anything from animals, for instance. No wool, no animal materials made with animal derived products. So I think we're going to see more and more of this kind of thing.
So if it's a vegan room, does that mean you can eat the furniture?
That was one of the things I was thinking. Well, unfortunately, no, because no, because
darn.
Well, unless you like cotton sheets and things like that, but no, yeah. they have special treats for you there. It's a very expensive hotel.
You get chocolate on the pillow and everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't let Kevin be in charge of designing your room.
That would be a poor experience.
Or do. I don't know. It depends on who you are.
Well, with a little guidance, I can see Kevin making a very unique space for himself.
Yeah.
If I had
recliners and TV trays.
Exactly. If I had the desire, I'll give you an example. My son, he grew up with the Beatles, and so he's got scripts from A Hard Day's Night that he proudly displays. He's got posters on the wall for the Beatles. He's made it his place, his home. I got nothing. I don't even. I've got trophies and stuff I could put up. I don't put any of that up. So and it probably would help my energy, and I would feel better about my home if I did these things and came into my house and was proud of what it was. Do you find that helps a lot of people?
Well, I was about to ask you, do you know why you never put up anything of significance to you?
It's a 4-letter word. It's called lazy.
Okay.
And Mitch is back there going, "Oh God, why am I here? I keep forgetting."
No, I just knew I had the answer.
I have a solution for you. We can send a handyman and help you with that. So that's not an excuse.
So Mitch, we haven't known each other that long. You know me that well already?
I've heard enough, Kevin. I've heard enough. No, but I think it's for me. So I'll just go ahead and say, just for me, there's a lot. Yeah. Like when I come home or whether I'm at home or coming into cleanliness is a big thing. Like I can't fully relax or really feel good about the space I'm in if it's not clean. But I've also, and a lot that among other things, obviously, the things in the space, of course, but I think it took me going to other different either people's, whether it was friends, family, or even just whether it was even, whether it was a hotel or anything like that. You go somewhere else and it's set up completely different. And yeah, it changes your mood. It changes how you're feeling, whether it's you're excited, there's energy, or, I've been to some places where I'm like, wow, this is really depressing. Like, I don't know that I really want to be here. And it's very true. Like what you surround yourself with and the things around you, I think are very impactful, and it impacts everybody a little bit differently. Some people don't care if there is a sink full of dishes or there's anything around them, and all they have is a recliner and a TV stand. Some people don't care about that, like
I don't know what you're talking
about. But no, I think it's very important. And once I think taking a step outside and going different places or being in different spaces helps you realize maybe what you want or maybe how you want to change your personal space.
Yeah, certainly. And what you say is so true, because a space that is organized really is much more welcoming, because it gives you space for your own energy to come in, less things around you, less clutter. It helps your mind. It's really, the effect is immediate. And the other thing that we haven't touched yet, but is really important, is color. Color and light are two elements in doing interiors that is really, really, really makes a tremendous difference. You have the right color palette for a space. You have, of course, it's a composition. It's a whole thing. It's the floors, the walls, the whole thing. But color in itself and light really make massive differences. A well-lit space conveys an idea of warmth and of that you're feeling comfortable and that you want to sit there. The same space, and it's really poorly lit and it doesn't work, can give you very an icky sensation. Already changing that is a huge thing.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was thinking that earlier. For me personally, lighting is big. It's amazing how you can have the same things in a space, and how you light those things up or the space around you can change things dramatically.
Oh,
And so, like, I mean, I have lights that I installed, these LED strip lights. I can change the colors if I'm watching a movie, or even if it's like a scary movie or it's action, or I just have friends and family over. I love the ability to be able to change the colors and be able to change the lighting. And there's certain lights I plug in or turn on, and some I don't. And that, I think that's, for me, that's one of the biggest things that changes my space is lighting. And it's one thing to, like, we've been talking a lot about the things in it, and lights are a part of that, of course, as well. But it's amazing how you can change so much with just lights.
yes.
So
Yes.
it's exciting to hear you say that.
Sometimes it's really small things. The other thing that changes the space dramatically, we're just talking about energy and space, is just moving around the furniture. I remember one time that I walked into a space and I was helping someone to organize the other part of the house, and the living room started screaming at me. Yeah, I have these funny things with space. So this living room starts really screaming at me. And I look at the living room and I look at the woman and I go, we have to do something in the living room. She said, oh, that's funny that you mentioned the living room, because I don't know what to do with it. I said, okay, no problem. Let's go into the living room. We changed things around, got a whole lot of things out of there. And at the end of the day, everybody was much happier, the space too. So, yes, turning things around and just putting them into the space in a way that it works and it flows and you feel happy and welcome. That's the biggest gift that I can give my clients, is just to make the space so that they can feel comfortable and happy in it. The rest I cannot do. I cannot make anyone rich. I cannot really change their private life. But if I can do something about the space so that they at least have a place where they can relax and enjoy, then it's I won my day.
Well, I think productivity goes with that too.
Oh yeah. Oh,
People that and during the pandemic, I think that this is even more important. We had a lot of people that went from going into an office environment where it's, something that the company, they have their whatever they'd like for the atmosphere or the space. And then you have these people that went to go remote. And I think that, the things around them, the space, the lighting, everything, it's very, very, very impactful. And I am a firm believer that actually also hugely impacts the productivity of the work you're doing, because of everybody. I'd like to say, I think we can all agree that if you're happy and you're in a good place and good space and you're feeling good, you're going to do good work. It translates to each other. It all correlates. Yeah.
It's interesting, Mitch, because generationally we are a little different. You and I was been around a while longer than you, and so when you say it's got to be lighting, and I want the lighting to hear, and you know what I say to myself? Damn, do I have to buy a new lamp?
Kevin, I picture you in your recliner with just one lamp with just the pull string, where you pull down with the TV dinner over, and you got just the boob tube, just, 5-10 feet in front of you, and you turn it on and off. And, when it hits 10 o'clock, we click it off.
Oh, no.
That's what I'm getting right now out of everything you say.
No, what happens is I sit down in my recliner, and then because I'm active during the day and do stuff, this is the way I view it. I was talking to my sister and I said, it's really great. I can go to like Netflix, or I can go to Amazon and I can buy a movie and I get to watch it twice. I get to watch the first half of the first night, and then I fast forward it to the second half that I didn't see because I was asleep for the second half. So I get to watch two. I get double my money.
I don't know. I don't know if that works. What you just said. I was trying to follow you there, but if that makes you happy.
Well, I don't know if it would make me happy if I could stay up the first time through the whole thing. But when you get to be a little longer in the tooth, unlike you two young people,
Oh, thank you.
Must be a comfortable recliner.
Oh, it's the first one. It's the first one I've ever had in my entire life because when I was married, I wasn't allowed to have one.
Oh.
Now we're connecting dots.
Now you get to another point. Yes, the dynamic between in a couple. Yeah, and then the
the
interior.
24
Yes,
years and that.
quite interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you want. I liked my lifestyle and I like what I do, and so consequently, I have good energy around it. Other people would go, "No, I don't think that would work for me," and that's fine. That doesn't have to work for anybody but me.
That is correct. It's your recliner, it's your space. You have to be happy in it. But I can also make you happy with the fact that lighting nowadays you can do remote with your phone. You can command your lights. So
That's what I do.
So now I have to buy a new phone. I don't know. No,
No, you don't have to buy a new
you
phone.
don't have a phone? You don't have a smartphone? Come on.
I know. No,
Don't that one on me.
I'm being a little facetious, but
Kevin's dating himself. He's got a Motorola bag phone.
Oh, that one. Yeah, yeah.
Carries around.
I liked my flip phone when it went away.
He's pulling out the antenna still. It's
They're back.
whole
They're
thing.
back. We all love Star Trek.
Exactly.
That's my fascination with 3D printed. I have a replicator now. I can do 3D printed furniture. I mean, that's very exciting. And homes.
How does that work? How do you do 3D printed furniture?
Well, obviously, I don't have a 3D printed printer in my home because these things are huge. But you can go to a company, like here in Oakland, for instance, we have a company that does 3D printed furniture. So that's how you do it. And I have a cooperation with a designer, and she produces the designs, and it can be printed any place on the planet. So all you need is a company that does the printing, which is which is like Star Trek. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's great.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Yes, exactly.
Well, the gospel according to Gene Roddenberry, there were so many things that proved to be true about that. Like, as an example, the communicators and stuff like that. So, and also in the 23rd century, nobody has to work. Everybody can follow their passion and do what they want because they don't have to work anymore. So I'm looking forward to that, but I don't think I'll make it to the 23rd century.
We'll come back for that.
Exactly. Juliette, we're going to run out of time. Dang it. I have enjoyed this conversation immensely. And Mitch, thank you for being here. By the way, real quick, Mitch, before we go, I want to make sure that we get out the word about you've got something special coming up that you haven't even talked to anybody yet. You want to announce it here, or do you want to hold back until later?
Oh, which part? Give me a hint. I have so many things.
It involves a studio.
Oh, yes. So so I'm in the process of getting set up right now for a TV show, I guess you could say, podcast series. So it'll be video. And I'm in the process of creating that space where I'm going to have guests on there. And obviously I want it to be a good environment. Juliette, I might need to reach out to you. We'll see.
Please do.
I'm a guy, and we kind of have a one-track mind sometimes when it comes to what we want to do, but I'm super excited about it. It's going to be in regards to movies and movie reviews and meeting people and trivia and all kinds of good fun. So stay tuned. It's going to be called Movie Buzzed. And I got a lot of things going with that. I will stay tuned with you guys or with more information on it as we get a little bit closer.
But just so everybody knows, it involves movies and booze. So
I didn't want to say the second part because I didn't want any negative connotation, but yes.
No, I mean, I would watch and I would even, participate along with the liquid beverages until I fell asleep at 7:30.
So Kevin, we'll make sure when I have you on the show, because you'll be on the show, I'll make sure that we schedule it super early before 5, before you hit your recliner. we'll make
Exactly.
sure that you know that
Exactly.
we're there.
Julie, we need to go, but curated by Juliette.com is where you go to talk to her, learn all about what she does. Will you come back? I've enjoyed this conversation.
I would love to come back. I just loved you guys. This is so fun. And don't
Yeah,
forget
please
the tropical
do.
cocktails. Okay, I have some recipes.
You're a well-rounded gal, so you know everything. 6 languages, you can arrange furniture, and you know cocktails.
Yeah, interior design is way better with a couple cocktails.
I'm going to put that on my website.
I feel a T-shirt coming.
And a bumper sticker.
Yeah,
So,
Kevin loves stickers.
I do. Juliette Schatan has been with us, and she's delightful. And go to her website again, which is curatedbyjuliette.com. Find out all about her. And thank you, my dear, for being here. And tell David I'm tracking him down so to get him back on the show as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love him.
Yes, indeed. So Mitch, it's your duty, sir, to take us out for the evening.
Absolutely. To all of our beautiful listeners out there, you're listening to Positive Talk Radio on KKNW 1150. And remember, be kind to one another because one another is all we've got. Oh.